Back in September, some lucky Australia and New Zealand Tesla owners received full self-driving supervised early access, but it's now available to all Tesla Hardware 4 customers to buy outright or pay monthly. But what about Hardware 3 customers, some of which have paid upfront for this years ago? Does the average Aussie even know Teslas can drive themselves under supervision, for now, of course? And why hasn't the Cybertruck made it down under yet? All this and more with my guest, Ryan Cowan of Ryan Cowan's Model Y fame. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Thanks for having me on the show.
That's all right. Great to see you again. So you've been using FSD for quite some time now. You're running version 13 on your Hardware 4 Model Y, so you don't yet have the latest version 14 software as of yet. But, how is FSD performing for you on a daily basis? Just feel free to go into as much detail as you like, successes and limitations and such.
Yeah, we've been really pleased with it as a family. I think it's really the ultimate test when you've got your wife driving and your daughter in the back and everyone is really happy with it. So my wife uses it every day. I use it every day. We both agree it drives more, it's smoother, it drives more comfortably than what we do as humans. So we opt to have it on all the time. We actually do not drive the car without it. So that's a real statement to how much we really have embraced FSD. Wow. And as you mentioned, it would be great to see V14 come our way. That might not be till next year, but we're seeing some really positive, footage over in the US of what that software update might do for us.
That's incredible to hear that you use it every time you're in the car now as well, like as a family. So I think that's a real test of FSD success, isn't it? If your wife's in the car and she's like, "Do you mind putting it on FSD so you're not driving?" I think that's a great test.
Like literally.
I spotted on one of your videos recently that your subscription to FSD lapsed or something, and you didn't have FSD for 24 hours. And that really sort of hit home as well that, my car's gone dumb again.
Yeah, and that's the perfect way to describe it, right? When you go back to your standard autopilot, it really hits you as to how much you're limiting the car's capability. The car on FSD is just a whole nother level. So basic autopilot felt, I don't want to use the word unsafe, but I'm going to. It felt unsafe in comparison to what we had experienced with FSD.
Yeah, I mean, it's all very much what you're used to, isn't it? If you are used to using just standard autopilot, it can be extremely beneficial, obviously. I did a trip the other day. I was out in the car for 8 hours in a day. I used it for most of the day, but it still has extreme limitations. You've got to be aware of what you're doing. But from my experience of using FSD version 12 in America, I was driving around on FSD and it was just doing everything for me. And then I came back to my car. It just felt so dumb, and that is the perfect explanation for it. But I think a lot of people in the Tesla community that haven't tested FSD and don't even know what it feels like, they're expecting, I presume, I think some people are expecting, autopilot just to be leveled up and become something a little bit better, but it's just not. It feels like a totally different beast, doesn't it? Really, that's probably the best way to describe it.
And which it is, right? Like it's a totally different technology. Like it's not based off the same thing.
What are you finding are its limitations then? I'm guessing you still have to intervene at some points at the moment. So what are those sort of cases where you do have to jump in?
Well, I would say we're based in the countryside, so it's very quiet and simple driving out here, which is why we're able to use it all the time. When we get to a, really tight car park, like a supermarket car park, or if we're traveling back into the city, like going to visit people back in Melbourne, that's when you start to notice some more limitations. But I do then just remind myself that in its current form, this is a driver assistance feature. So you just take over when you feel that it's not quite ready for a multi-story car park or pulling into a certain intersection. You can really get a sense of when the system needs your input. In Melbourne, we've got trams and we've got all sorts of different things that the car is still getting its head around. So you just jump onto the wheel and do it yourself.
Okay, let's move on to Hardware 3 owners then that are still waiting for FSD. There was talk of something like FSD Lite coming. Do you know any more news about that for the frustrated, slightly angry Hardware 3 owners?
Yeah, I understand their frustration, and I was one of those until we made this upgrade. there was an email sent out by Tesla Australia that referenced that Q2 V14 Lite for Hardware 3 owners. But there's big question marks around that. Like, I think it's great that they're hoping for that, but Q2 in the US doesn't, in my mind, mean Q2 in Australia. I don't know what's happening behind the scenes, obviously. My guess is that Tesla Australia wouldn't really have much control over what the AI team in the US are working on. That would be Elon's decision. And if they decided that Hardware 3 was really important to roll out in Australia tomorrow, I'm sure they could put all energy on it and get it done, but their priorities are elsewhere. And I know that that's really frustrating for people. I'm, in hindsight, really glad that we upgraded the car to be able to experience this technology. But I think, you've just got to have that extra level of patience if you are sitting on a Hardware 3 car.
Yeah, well, patience is a virtue. It reflects wisdom, doesn't it, I suppose, and it shows self-control and emotional maturity. So, I'm patiently waiting for FSD as well, and a Cybertruck, and Optimus, and everything else I want Tesla to come on. But, let's be patient. Okay, let's discuss everything electric then, which just happened. So this is previously called Fully Charged Live, the massive great shows that happen around the world with, tons of electric cars and lots of Teslas and Tesla owners clubs and all sorts. And I couldn't help but notice when you posted a picture of everything electric in, where was it, Melbourne? And there was 20 Tesla Model Ys giving FSD rides to the public for the first time at any event. So I was really, really happy to see this. And I was equally happy to hear at least that Jack Scarlett, one of the presenters, actually took it out and had a go at it himself and apparently made a video on Instagram. Not seen it because I'm not on Instagram. And also Robert Llewellyn had his first drive in a Tesla with FSD. I find that incredible to consider that, Boris Johnson a year ago had his first drive in FSD. And, Robert Llewellyn, someone I respect a lot, is a lovely chap. I met him many times and, shared a stage with him. Is a great guy. But I would have thought he would have been more excited. And made himself get in a car with FSD by now, just to see what the technology is like, because this is the future idea of obviously robo-taxis and the end of car ownership, potentially, if you can own an autonomous car. This should be something, we're all looking forward to, and it's going to save a lot of people lots of money. It's going to save lives. It's a great, I'm blabbling. I'll stop rambling. And
I was just going to jump in and say,
Go for it.
I think it's perfect. You took the words out of my mouth because I was also really pleased to hear Jack. I wasn't there in person, even though Melbourne is our closest city. Jack on stage did say that he's not been the biggest fan of Tesla lately, but he has been really surprised by how impressive FSD is. And he did upload some content on him genuinely reacting to it. And then Robert next came along and said that he was blown away. And when I heard about this, I was like, "What? He hasn't tried it yet?" His channel and obviously the whole team, they've got over 1 million subscribers dedicated to electric cars and the electric future that is coming. And the top presenter has not ever tried FSD before. Really shocked me. But to flip that, he was genuine in his reaction, and they were both blown away by it. They couldn't believe how impressive it was. And we're only talking about Australia. They really need to go now over to America and try V14.2.
Absolutely, yeah. Just to touch on that sentence from Jack, though, the fact that he's not, been very impressed with Tesla. You need to replace that word Tesla, don't you? With Elon Musk. I mean, he's not impressed with Tesla, is he? He's not impressed with the politics of Elon Musk. I mean, that's the clearest way to explain that. But let's talk more about this on our little Patreon bonus episode we're going to do after this. So I've got loads of questions from our Patreons, loads of really cool ones, such as what are you going to do with your Optimus when you get it one day, and when might that be? So join us over at patreon.com/Tesla Jigsaw at the end of this interview, and there'll be more Ryan and loads of questions. So going back to everything electric then, and the rides, there was over 700 in total FSD demo rides, all of which apparently went flawlessly. I've not heard of any deaths anyway, so I assume so. Do you think the average Joe in Australia is aware that Teslas are capable of this?
Absolutely not. And in hindsight, I should have really made the trip to go to the event. I actually, for the reasons you kind of mentioned before, decided not to attend the event on a personal matter, just because I struggled with some of the commentary they had made around Tesla. That being said, Tesla had the biggest presence at the show, and we're seeing photos right now of just how well received Tesla was at the event. So not only did they have all the blue marketing, which was so cool to really highlight that this is all about full self-driving and people trying it out. 700 test rides in 3 days. I've heard that that's some sort of record. I spoke to multiple people that were at the event, and they just said people did not expect that the car could genuinely drive itself. And there was a couple of YouTube videos that were uploaded as well, and you can hear the passengers say, oh, it's actually recognizing the red light. Oh, it's going to turn here. Like, people just, I think they thought it was like a really advanced cruise control. I don't think they were expecting to not have to touch the wheel at all. And that was obviously a pre-planned route that every Tesla went on. It went sort of up and back, and it was like 10 minutes, but it was flawless every time. And, like, it's not like Tesla had 3D mapped the whole area. It was the car's software that everyone has here just running that same path, and it went really well for everyone.
Yeah, excellent. That's great to hear. This was Everything Electric's post at the time. So have you experienced the future yet? The Tesla has passed over 600 test drives on the new FSD Supervised program. Let's see how many they can get by the end of the day. It's really nice to see from Everything Electric. I mean, I've been such an advocate of fully charged since they began. I love their overall message and stuff. So I feel like too. I mean, I missed out on going to Everything Electric this year. The same reason that you did. I just felt I'm just a bit sick of hearing Tesla being dissed on stage by the presenters. Just, it feels ridiculous. Get back to recommending excellent cars and recommending the safest cars in the world. And
yes, and the best sellers. Like I don't mean to interrupt you. We're both so passionate on this because it's like you're talking about the biggest brand with the most impact. So yeah, it really did rub me the wrong way. But they're being very kind to Tesla now because Tesla are a big client, and they are pulling the crowds. Like, Tesla are definitely pulling the crowds for their shows, and they have the biggest stand and the biggest presence. So I think it's great. I think the tide is well and truly turned, and it helps that Elon's kind of back on Tesla now full time, so they don't have to get too upset by his movements, and we can just get back to focusing on the amazing products. And so I think everyone's happy. And I'm not trying to be overly critical of their team and what they do, because to your point, they do amazing work. But I'm just, like you, really glad to see them posting about Tesla again.
Yeah, me too. And it's so hard not to get political with things. I mean, I had no intention of getting anywhere near touching politics on my channel, but I keep finding myself having to be drawn into it because obviously Elon is part of politics. The UK right now is politics. Everything is politics. So when those things clash, with people's opinions, with Everything Electric and my opinions, we're all going to, get a bit agitated at times. And I want to build bridges. I don't want to keep getting upset about things. So anyway, let's leave that one there. But apart from this one, I found this picture on your thread that I was like, oh,
yes,
I mean, look at that. Oh, it's white seats, the Performance Model Y, Quicksilver.
Yeah.
That there is my dream car.
Yeah, for anyone that's watching this right now in Melbourne, that car is at Chadstone Shopping Centre, available for test drives. So it's the Quicksilver with the white interior. Now, the question on my mind is, what does that Quicksilver look like in person? Because it is coming from the Berlin factory, not China. That's the first car that we're getting from Berlin, and they have a slightly more advanced paint shop, so it should be a more metallic, deeper Quicksilver. Obviously, I cannot tell from the photos that I've seen, but I need to personally be the judge of that and see it in person.
Yeah, super sweet. Well, I couldn't help but chuck that on there because it's just like Tesla porn, isn't it? So,
yeah,
right. Let's next talk about take rates then in Australia. I've struggled to find the amount of people that have actually paid for FSD, and we've heard from Tesla that many people have bought FSD outright and they've never tried it, which is, that's just crazy. But the best I could find was this little document thing I found I asked Grok basically, what's your prediction of how many people have got it? So they think somewhere around 5,000 people in Australia and New Zealand, based on the amount of mileage and data that Tesla are gathering per day. So I wondered if you had anything to say on this. So you're looking at about 160,000 Teslas in the total fleet in Australia and New Zealand. Of those eligible, so that's the hardware 4 versions, about 32% of them. And the prediction would be about 50,000 eligible vehicles in all. Have you met any other people that are using FSD?
Not randomly, just definitely speaking to people within the community that are. So most people, I would say, are really taken by it and really positive. There's people that are reaching out that aren't happy, that they're not enjoying their experience. In that case, I just remind them it's a driver assistance feature. Think of it as a really great cruise control. I think there's people that don't want to give it a chance to get used to it, and it does take like a good couple of weeks to really start to go, wow, this is life-changing, because it can be jarring at first. We're not designed to let the car do a lot of things. It drives differently to how you would drive. So there's definitely an adjustment for people. But in terms of take rates, it must be similar to the US, where we're sitting at like 10% of eligible cars are actually running full self-driving. And every time I see a new Model 3 or on Model Y, I'm trying to look to see if they've got it engaged, but it's too hard to tell. It's going to be a really interesting next few years to see how more people jump on to embracing this technology, because once you get used to it, it just feels so much safer.
It's taking the plunge to give it a go, I suppose, isn't it? And that's going to be in the minds of a lot of people. They're just so used to driving. A lot of people don't even use cruise control, do they? So I think just somehow, there's one thing getting butts in seats, isn't there? There's another thing going, just try it. If you're going to have a journey that's totally intervention free, and it's a half an hour drive to and from a city or something, and then that's your experience of it, then you're going to certainly use it again, aren't you? I don't know. I mean, how many intervention-free journeys have you taken? Have you been out and there's been no interventions over a time, or is it always one or two?
It's always one or two, I feel. It's not something that I'm like keeping track of, because they're not super long drives. Like I've done some longer road trips where you just leave it on the whole time and it's unbelievable. But as soon as you get close to your destination, where you're in a different sort of environment, the car's got to, look to try and find a park and all, like you do have to intervene. In terms of safety critical, that's probably once every 10, 15 drives, where it'll do something that you really question. You go, oh, I'm not quite sure if that's the right thing to do. I'm going to take over. Maybe safety critical is not the right word, but super uncomfortable, maybe the car was going to be fine. But but there's so many people that I meet that are reluctant to and do not try autopilot. Like they don't use autopilot in the car. They just drive manually, and they've got like a brand new Model 3, for example. So it's going to take some convincing.
Yeah, that's it. I think once they know that FSD is, 99.99% going to be successful on any drive when you press that button, that's going to be good. I mean, how does your wife Paige get on with it? I mean, does she use it and then is happy just to take over if she needs to?
She's great with it. She teaches me, like, I'm so into this stuff, but she surprises me with how good she is at like sort of understanding the technology. And there'll be times where I take over and she's kind of like, oh, actually it was going to do this. So like, she's really on top of it. So we're both equally as impressed by it, which is awesome.
Cool. Yeah, because my wife doesn't really use autopilot at all. She's not that confident with it. So I did say to her earlier over breakfast, it's like, there's going to be a time sooner rather than later that you'll be able to, you'll just type in your destination or tell it where to go, and then it'll take you to work. It'll take you to wherever she needs to go, and it's going to pull out of our driveway and drive away. I was like, if you consider that's coming, it's just like, that's crazy just to imagine our car suddenly waking up. But just as a reminder, me and you have the exact same car. It's got the same hardware. It's coming to us, and we know when the time comes in the UK that hopefully I'll perhaps get early access to, and then me and my wife will be testing. We're going to go through it's like you're in the future, and I can see what's coming. I'm just so excited. I cannot wait.
So, and you won't be going back to basic autopilot.
No, exactly. And I can't wait to see my wife use it. I can't wait to, send my car around to pick up my parents and bring them back when it's unsupervised, things like that. I'm so looking forward to the future. It's very exciting. And obviously it's an extremely difficult problem for Tesla to have. So for all these hardware 3 issues and, any interventions and stuff, I mean, good grief, you got to weigh it up against the scale of the problem here. I can barely work a flipping computer or a phone. And then you've got Tesla building autonomous cars, manufacturing them, and the software to go with it. I mean,
and anyway. It's really the most remarkable thing is the foresight. Like, these cars for so long have had the self-driving computers in them, and they've had the cameras, and they've had all of it. Like, it's just been such a long time coming, but they are clearly getting very close.
Yeah, exactly. And anyone who thinks that, it was never Elon's intention to be able to solve this, is like, why on earth would he put cameras in flipping Model S's all the way back then, in preparation for this? He knew what was coming. It's just taken a long time because it's a very difficult problem to solve. Right. Let's move on finally to the Cybertruck then, because I want to talk to you about this, because you're in Australia, right? Everyone likes their utes in Australia, don't they? It's a flipping bulletproof truck. If a kangaroo hits this, it'll probably, your truck will be all right. Kangaroo probably won't be, but there's so many good reasons I think that the Cybertruck would do well in Australia, but I have a feeling it's too futuristic for a lot of people, isn't it? It's just too ahead of its time, even though its capabilities and everything we're looking at on screen here is just is bonkers technology. I can't believe this thing has not, sold a lot better than I thought it would, just based on its capabilities. What are your thoughts on bringing the Cybertruck to Australia?
Yes, I have so many thoughts, and you've touched on a few of them. Firstly is like the price tag. So I'd imagine if it came here, which it looks like it will be coming here, to be clear. It looks like, our country director has mentioned that they're working on bringing it here. And because the sales aren't exploding in the US, I think Tesla are looking for other markets to enter with this truck. And Australia has a massive ute culture. Like, they're our top selling cars. Like, it's always been sort of like Model Y, and then above it is 2 other different utes from Ford and Toyota. So I think that there is an appetite for it, but it is going to be sitting at like 120 grand or something here in Australia. How many people are going to be willing to spend that money for the utility sake? Probably not many, but certainly for as we've seen in the US, the look and the sort of exclusivity of having this insanely futuristic car. So if I was to predict, I think within the next 6 months, there'll be some sort of indication of Cybertruck arriving in Australia, pre-orders or whatever that looks like. I genuinely think it'll be on our roads. And I have no information on this. This is just me speculating, but I do think it will be on our roads in the next, 6 to 12 months. It's just that question mark around, who will be buying it? I certainly would be interested, but I just don't. I would be interested to try it, but I can't really justify spending that sort of money. I can't afford it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Obviously there's only one, manufacturing factory that builds them. That's Giga Texas, you see. And switching to a right-hand drive market shouldn't be too difficult with steer-by-wire and steer-by-brake and all that. So we know it's certainly doable, and especially they're not running anywhere near the capacity that they predicted they could be at. They didn't know exactly how it was going to be taken, did they? It would seem very obvious that they'll be opening up to markets that do want it. It'd be great to work on that price though, get it a bit lower, wouldn't it? Because there's a lot of money still.
Has there been any indication for the UK?
That's a touchy subject. Not really. We have a few critical safety issues with the Cybertruck. I mean, it's not got very good pedestrian safety for legs and things like that. It's a bit sort of choppy, hard metal. It's not very forgiving for pedestrians. So, my brilliant idea of having some booby airbags on the front just pop out, if it's going to hit someone, then just boo, flies them away. I thought it was a good idea, but I think Tesla would take me up on that. There is some interesting things going on in Europe right now, because there was one driving around Prague last week on FSD. Did you see that?
I saw that.
Very interesting. Yeah. So I don't know how the Cybertruck is legally allowed to operate there for the same safety reasons, but there is a company that's sort of taken the Cybertruck and has gone through the list of changes to make it European regulation ready. So they've sort of beaded the edges of all the sharp bits with this black beading.
I saw that.
Yeah. I saw it in Belgium when I drove there. No, sorry, in Switzerland when I drove there for a light show. Yeah, they've got this big lump of foam on the hood, so for pedestrian safety again, I suppose. So that they are working through these issues to try and get at least a sort of slightly bespoke version of the Cybertruck available for Europe. But it's still, I mean, being in the UK, I think we're just strangled by regulation. I think the Cybertruck is a long way off, actually, which is a real shame because it's an amazing truck. And obviously the best truck is the one that doesn't hit you. So if it's got safety technology within it that's going to avoid pedestrians at all times and all costs, then that's probably the best way to look at it. And of course, we still do have monster trucks driving around occasionally with bull bars on the front and all sorts of flat-fronted. Oh, well, we have buses, for example, lorries, vans. I mean, you can get hit by anything, and it's not going to be good news. So it seems a bit mean to pick on the Cybertruck.
It's a good point too, like about the technology that's actually in the car is going to be safer than in terms of avoiding pedestrians and accidents. So that should be the forefront of the conversation. But also to comment on the Australian factor, it appears there's no issues with the car as it currently is coming out of the US. Like I don't think we have to change anything for it to be apart from the steering wheel. So there's not much work in terms of that for Australia, which is cool. Yeah.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah. And the other problem in the UK is just people keep ranting on about how the Cybertruck's too big. It just won't fit. And I'm like, it's smaller than a Ford Transit van. And that's every Amazon delivery driver that comes to my street or every country road in Cornwall or Scotland. I mean, of course it will fit. It's just, people get a bee in their bonnet about the size of it. And that's just silly to me. It's like vans and lorries and buses exist. So anyway, right, that'll do for now then. So I've got some great questions from my patrons, such as, when do you think you'll get your Optimus robot to complement your Tesla household? And what do you think it'll do for your life? So join us at patreon.com/Tesla Jigsaw. Your support is greatly appreciated and you'll get loads of bonus content from me each week. So please do make sure you check out Ryan over at RyansModelY on X and on YouTube. He's got fantastic channels on both. Thanks very much for joining me, Ryan. I'll see you soon. I'm Will. This is the Tesla Jigsaw. Thank you, patrons. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.